Well, hi, it's Melissa with Right on Webb, and I got a great question from a mom who was asking about spelling for her son and what I might recommend, my thoughts on spelling, etc. So I figured I'd just make a quick video for anybody who might be looking for a little information on this. So if your child struggles with spelling, by all means, spelling practice is a wonderful idea. One, it's going to empower your child to realize that we can learn how to spell. We really can. There's a lot of research that points to, for some, it just comes more naturally and easier. Lucky them. But for others, it's going to take us a little more time and work. And if we simply just shorten spelling lists, make it more fun and engaging, practice regularly, these things can absolutely be improved. So let's talk about some ways you might do that. There are a lot of ways that we can practice spelling. I'm going to go ahead and get myself out of the way here and move on over and show you a couple of things. So online, there are so many resources. There are free resources. There are paid resources. You can get lists, spelling lists for grade levels. It's wonderful. Now, there's a few different thoughts on how to best practice spelling. And I'm going to tell you that the best way to practice depends. Depends on you. It depends on your child. It depends on what makes the most sense and what's the most successful. I am a firm believer that we have to try several things before we find the thing that seems to work. And eventually that may not work anymore. So you better find the next thing that works. And so one thing that I have found has worked with students of mine and my own boys is picking lists that actually work on spelling rules and patterns and exceptions, because we know in the English language, there are more exceptions to the rules than there are rules. It makes the English language really challenging. One way that I think helps solidify some of these little rules and patterns and exceptions is to practice spelling them all in the same week. So this is just something that I found online. And it's for sixth graders. And so just for example, so here's a list for sixth graders, and there's 10 words right here in this first column that they would recommend as your word list for a week or 2 weeks. It's up to you how long you want to stay on a list. I would say you stay on the list until it's mastered. And mastery is typically consistent 80% or above. So in this second week, you can see what we're going to be working on would be the hard and soft sound of G. So the letter G can sound hard, G, right? That hard guttural G sound, but it can also sound soft, J, J. Sounds more like a J, right? So in this particular week, students are going to practice both. Dialogue, you hear it's the harder one, but then you have something like pigeon, pigeon. It's not pigeon, right? So this is a great opportunity, not just to spell. That's why I like using this method. It's a way to open up discussion. It's a way to talk about the interesting and challenging English language. How are we going to know these things? A lot of times it's just memorization. And memorization is so good for the brain. We should be memorizing. Memorizing is awesome. I don't know why people want to make it sound like, oh, it's just hard. Okay, it's challenging maybe, but it's good for the brain. So this type of spelling practice is great because it opens up that conversation and you can have these discussions. Lists like this are great because once your child does master these, or if your child likes more challenges, I like lists like this because it talks about the most high frequently used words that are hard and soft G, and the frequently misspelled words with hard G and soft G, right? And so it's got things on short vowel words. And this is just one that I picked up for grade 6. So again, this was a free resource. So there are things like that out there. Now, another way that I love to practice, oh, and by the way, so that's kind of like word families. You can use Teachers Pay Teachers. I was going to show you there are free things. There's also paid things. Teachers Pay Teachers has lots of great things. So you can always go check out that too. A lot of charter schools will pay for that as well because it's curriculum. Okay, but another way that I like to teach words is using root words. Have you seen this before? This is great curriculum. And this is great because it looks at like the Latin and the Greek origin of words. And to me, this makes a lot of connections for students. So if you have a child who is like, Mom, I need it to make sense. This makes sense to a lot of kids. So let me show you one. I thought I had one here. I guess I'll just show you this one right here. So what this looks like, so let me just pull one up. Let's just do this and see if I can make it any bigger. Yeah, this will be better. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so it'll be easier for us to see. So it won't stay big. Okay, so what they've done in this particular example, hopefully you can follow along with me here. It says root in the center. And what this type of spelling practice offers, again, great discussion time. I love when we can learn and practice spelling at the same time. This is your basic root or base word. So we have the word struct. S-T-R-U-C-T, struct. Now, its origin meaning is build. As soon as you know that, you can make an amazing spelling list by adding on prefixes and suffixes. But as long as the child knows struct means to build, look at what we can do with that. So let's see if I can get it to look over on this side where it says prefix. So for instance, let's look at D. D is spelled D-E, and it's a prefix that goes in front of the word, and it can mean from, away, down, apart, or not. So if we destruct something, right, you hear it's taking away from building. So it's like the unbuilding of something, right? It's the destruction of something. Versus con, which means with or together. Constructing is to be putting it all together and building something up. So this kind of curriculum is great because yes, you're going to be practicing spelling. It breaks it into those chunks. So like you're looking at the word construction. You show your child when you're spelling the word construction, don't think of it as one big word. It's 3 parts. Con, C-O-N, struct, that's my base word, and then I-O-N, add the suffix that I'm adding on, the actual action piece. All of a sudden, it takes spelling to a whole new level. So I'm a big fan of that. And then, of course, there are also things like, this is great. Again, this is a free resources on spellingwordswell.com. They give you a list for all the different grades, and these are the most frequently used, misspelled, common words for this grade level. So obviously they start simple and then they get more advanced. They're alphabetically listed. If you just want to like say, hey, we're just going to go over this list over a whole year. We're just going to break it into 10 at a time. That's an option too. But what I would recommend, and again, a lot of these great resources do offer word lists that then also have dictation sentences. So if you want your child to be practicing that is another option. So I want to make sure I pointed that out to you. And then there are these great free websites like Spelling City. I love spellingcity.com. You can go on there. You can see my URL up here, spellingcity.com. You can even try a sample, but this is where your kids would actually type in their spelling words or their vocabulary words, and games are created. So it's like an online fun platform where you're practicing, but you're not just doing writing. And let me be really clear. I would never throw the baby out with the bathwater. As fun as it can be to add in some of the electronic games, the writing it down, there's a connection. There's a literal connection. Research points out what happens in the brain through our writing, true connection. So don't throw that out. You want to be doing both. And you can have fun with it too, like write words and shaving cream. I'm sure you've heard of all of these different things. Any kind of tactile type of spelling. Just keep it fun. Keep it engaging. Create your list, whether it's 5 words, 10 words, 20 words, based on your child's involvement in wanting to do it. If 15 words or 20 words overwhelms your child, what's wrong with a 10-word list? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with that. Progress is progress. Big or small, progress is moving forward. That is what we're going for. And finally, I always get asked, does it even really matter that we're doing any spelling at all? I mean, really, we've got Google Docs now that's going to tell us when we misspell. How important is a spelling list every week? I'm going to say it's important. This is my opinion from the research that I've done, but there is a clear connection that you increase a child's confidence when they know that they can spell. They will read more fluently. They will write more fluently. I mean, it can be frustrating if you're like, I don't remember how to spell does, and you never practiced it. Well, of course it's going to frustrate you. So guess what's going to happen? Reading's going to frustrate you more. Writing's going to frustrate you more. Learning how to spell has many advantages other than just spelling well. And I would also offer this because working with writing and children, I see this all the time. Kids don't catch their misspelled words because let's just say on their Google document, they were trying to write something with the word does, spelled D-O-E-S, but instead they spelled it dose, D-O-S-E. Because they thought that was the right way to spell does. Guess what? Google is not going to catch that, right? Grammarly.com, anything that you're using, any word processing program is going to say dose, D-O-S-E, is spelled correctly. So it does matter. I feel spelling absolutely does matter, but I think it can be fun. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. I think there are a lot of great ways to engage our kids. So anyway, I hope that answers your questions. And by all means, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me over on my website, writeonwebb.com. That's right as in WRITEONWEBB, two B's, just like my last name. And feel free to ask any questions, find ways to keep up to date on the freebies that I have, and certainly subscribe if you like these kinds of lessons. It lets me know that I should be making more. Until we meet again, write on.